down.
Finally.
I'm starting the recording.
Lee's
Go
here,
on.
I think, right?
Am I allowed to sit down?
Yeah, wait a second, because Lee's joining.
I'll stand here.
The resource pack is located.
Yeah, that's nice.
Second.
Oh my
Oh,
god,
fuck.
you don't have the resource pack, people.
Oh my god, just screw the resource pack.
Okay,
That
I'm
looks
walking
really
over.
bad, to be honest. I don't like this.
This is already a train wreck.
I mean, we haven't begun, and there's like two new
just
people
wait,
who just joined.
wait for the elections, dude.
Oh,
Whatever, I could.
alright, lythd is here. You're sitting down
The
for some
Montroig
reason.
debate.
I mean, a classical Montroig, you know. Classical Montroig.
Just
Yeah.
democracy, baby.
Yep.
So are we gonna be sitting down for this?
No,
I'm
it looks
personally,
really bad if you're sitting down.
I'm personally going to be standing up. You know, I think my legs.
We'll build a wall and we'll make the viaductions pay for it.
I mean, you're on the right of the stage, so.
I'm the American. I have to be the extremely right one here.
Yep.
Wait, where is CoColaxx from?
Okay, so we can get ready to begin now. Just make Cryo go last, so they'll be fine.
Wait, Quasar,
Right,
can you
just
get
let
into
get
the
in
stage?
here.
It looks better, I think.
Where should I?
Can we have like absolute silence when
fuck.
the debate is on? I think that would be better.
Yeah.
Oh no, it crashed.
Oh,
I think the server snapped.
No way.
Oh, never mind. It was just lagging out for me.
Yeah, I glitched through the map.
Okay, I'm gonna go mute now.
Okay.
Wait.
Are we all ready to begin?
I think so.
Yeah.
Alright. Yeah, just... Quasar?
Yeah, so hello everyone and welcome to the first ever debate for Guardian of the Republic of Montroig. We have 3 of our 4 candidates here right now. Our 4th one will be joining us shortly, but we thought we'd just begin, since this is just an opening question to get a feel for each candidate, so we can wait for him to go last. So our 4 candidates, if we could introduce ourselves, we have CoColaxx.
CoColaxx, yes, thank you very much. I am a candidate that aims to do good in this country by respecting freedom of speech and imposing laws and reforming things like the army and all.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm CoColaxx. I'm a skeleton. I recently moved from the industrial district up to the citadel, and I am an attorney at law. That's my job. I have already partaken in the 2 only first and only court cases that were had in this country, and I have managed to secure forgiving sentences for my clients. I also wrote the national anthem of Montroig, which is still to be approved, but that's my contributions to the states, actually.
Thank you very much. Next, SpotlightThief. Introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, my name is SpotlightThief, and you might know me as the current Minister of Resources here in Montroig. I've been here the longest out of almost anybody. I'm the 2nd citizen ever to join Montroig, aside from the founders. The first being Badu. Hello, Badu. And trust me, if you elect me, I will be the most dedicated I can to improving our nation in any way I can.
Thank you very much. Now, last for now, lythd, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name's lythd. I just ran like 10 minutes ago. I'm the current mayor of Baldia, and I brought like military and stuff there. It's like I have a bunch of diamonds, so everyone has diamond armor. It's pretty cool. Democracy.
Hell yeah, brother. So we will move on and we can ask Cryo these questions when he gets back. So secondly, and this is the first other question, what, in your opinion, is the most pressing issue facing our republic today? We'll begin again with CoColaxx.
Thank you very much. I think the biggest issue right now is the lack of a low code. I think we also that in the trial of Badu for this morning that we didn't have any low code, and essentially it was the goodness of the judge that determined the trial's results. So I think the most urgent thing now is to write basic law code and making it approved, passing it to the parliament, and basically resolve this issue of juridic blah.
Thank you very much. Spotlight. Same question to you.
Well, I believe that the most pressing issue at the moment, among the many that are in Montroig, would probably be the organization of government at the moment. As you've probably been able to tell if you've been here for more than a few days, the Montroig government, a lot of aspects are very disconnected and very messy, to put it lightly. For example, our court system needs a more organization, more strict rules, stuff like that, as well as our election system, which at the moment is very iffy, and just a few other aspects that haven't been put in place concretely and just need to be more organized.
Thank you very much. Lythd.
Right, so I know they were talking about the court systems, so I just thought this would be a fitting thing to mention that Baldia actually has a proper court system, with members from the audience contributing to the vote, and everything's like organized with there. But that's not what I feel is the most pressing issue. For me, it would have to be all the bandit and mercenary attacks that we've had. So I think we need to work on a military, because it's not a very safe place for people if they can just lose all their items from somebody who just outgears them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, moving on to the next question, unless anyone would like to say something to the other about their points quickly. No? Okay.
So yeah.
No? Would you
No.
like to say something?
No, I thought I was interrogated.
Very well. So, next up, what would be your number one goal out of a term in office? This time we'll start with Lythd.
In a term in office, my number one goal would be to make sure that everybody has a fair say in able to develop these nations in order to make Montroig more prosperous and to fix all the issues we're having, but by still making sure that's a democracy.
Thank you. Spotlight.
During my term in office, the main thing that I would like to do is to build Montroig and make us a big player in Rathnir. We've been a very small nation throughout all of our history, and for example, with our conflict with the Holy Chevry Empire back when, we wouldn't have been able to do anything about that if they had chosen a violent offense. So I just want to make it so that we're able to, support ourselves, be a very kind nation, but also be able to hold our own and not have to rely on others for support.
Thank you. A good answer. CoColaxx.
Yes.
Lastly to you.
So I am I am of the opinion that we should first establish ourselves as a real nation. So for now, we don't have any law, as I said. The government has not very laid out rules. We are kind of trying to function out of goodwill, and that's not going to cut it if we're going to expand. And if we want to keep our direct democracy, we are going to need to make this things a bit more formal and written. And I know it's going to be a bit boring, but we're going to have to do a lot of work to make our basically start of a group of people living in the same place into a real full-fledged nation. So that's what I'm going to do. And I don't want to expand before we have a solid base to begin with.
Thank you. Now, there's a minute for anyone to discuss the question that they would like to bring up each other's points. No? Very well. We'll move on to the next question. This time we'll begin with Spotlight. Spotlight, please describe your foreign policy to us.
So at the moment, our foreign policy is very loose. We don't really have much since, we're part of Old Arash, and we just kind of go with whatever's going on there. But during my term, the foreign policy would become a lot stricter. We would look further into all of our allies instead of just kind of winging them, I guess, as we have done in the past. We would be a bit more careful about who we let into the nation, such as, our incidents with Zacrex, for example. Just to avoid any possible alliances with people who will get us into trouble, and then
Sorry
to
to interrupt,
avoid.
but Lily, you gotta move or you'll get kicked. Yeah, sorry. Continue.
And then, to also avoid inviting people into our nation who will backstab us and possibly hurt us in the long run.
Thank you very much. Lythd, same question to you.
My foreign policy would mainly be focusing on strengthening our allies with other nations. And although, yes, I agree we have to be careful, my number one priority would make sure that we get stronger allies and we get more allies closer to us so that they're able to help us out. And then obviously we'd help them in return. And this would create us basically becoming a stronger nation if they can help us out and stuff. So this would help us, for example, if we get into a war, being able to join forces with them would make us even stronger. So that would probably be my main goal in foreign policy. Thank you.
And lastly, we'll go to CoColaxx.
Yes, thank you very much. I came and I built for the city. I built an enormous wall around Citadel, and I also built a gate with a system of portcullis. And even though I built this and I'm proud of it, I really hope it never is used. I really hope we never have to use it in just parts of the landscape. So my foreign policy would be to contact any close nation and just, if not ally, just to sign pacts of non-aggression. For now, our nation is too young and too weak to be engaging in any sort of conflict, I believe. So we have the protection of Aldarash, of course, and we're thankful to them. But we're not going to engage in any conflict, short or long term. We're not going to start using our war material, even though I know some of you are eager to go to war and to prove yourself. But the time is not the time is not for that. We need to have a solid base, solid capital. We have to improve Baldia. Think about the new Hanoi situation, and then after that, maybe we can expand. But for now, just improve our capital, and then after that, we'll see.
Thank you. Now opening the floor, would anyone like to discuss each other's questions?
I would like to ask a question to the other persons here. What are your opinion on expanding?
I would like to. Oh, sorry, you can go.
Go first, then Spotlight.
Okay. My opinion on expanding is that we should do it because it would make us more safer, having access to more materials and more manpower in our army, and us being a stronger nation would discourage attacks upon us. Because obviously we've seen all the recent attacks and stuff, and that's because we're seen as just a small little city on a hill. Whereas with this big, huge nation with a lot of army available, then they'd be less interested in attacking us, and there'd also be more of a chance for more people to be online in order to discourage attacks, and it would just lead for a more prospering nation with more people and more resources at our hand. So I would believe in expanding.
On Spotlight. Thank you very much, Lythd.
So my opinion on expanding is I have no issue with it as long as we don't do anything forcefully. I'm fine with annexing any nations into our, own nation or towns if they, are willful, no forcing or pressuring. And then I'm fine with, expanding any land as long as we don't spread ourselves too thin, so that we're able to, have enough space, but not too much for us to properly populate.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else have any questions?
Yes, I would like to react to this. So I'm going to be the third opinion on this. As we can see, lythd was very vehemently for expanding, and Spotlight was more neutral and reserved on the question. Well, I'm going to be against. I think that in the current state of our democracy, which is still very young and not as mature as it ought to be, we still have a lot of problems with the cities. We currently have two cities. One being Teroja, which the capital in which we are. One is being Baldia, which lythd is the mayor of, and which goes very well. And then we have New Hanoi. New Hanoi is a city that is currently only its mayor and another person lives there. It's basically a ghost town. There are like 3 buildings, a wall, and a road. That's everything New Hanoi is at the moment, and I think that's a problem with expanding such a young country. We don't have enough manpower and resources to control a large that large of an empire. Like the Roman Empire, if we go too large, we're going to fracture, and especially if we don't have laws written in on paper, if we don't have the necessary system to support it. We will keep our direct democracy and we will keep everything fair and simple, but we need to have laws. Otherwise, anarchy is really a nice idea on paper, but to administer more than a few cities, it doesn't work. So I would be for, first of all, as always, make a powerful call of Taroja, and then after that we can go and invite people to join our great nation.
Thank you very much, you three. We'll now move on to the next question. So, please describe for us your plan for the economy. This time we will start with SpotlightThief.
My plan for the economy would most likely be to establish better trade links and policies to better access stores and resources from other nations. For example, a possible extension of the Nether Highway, or as is currently planned with the Ministry of Infrastructure, and a railroad in the overworld to possibly travel to closer by nations that would, be senseless to have another highway to, in order to more easily access them and to allow them to more easily access our shops, to not only support them and our allies, but to support us and, allow us both to grow our resources and have thriving economies.
Thank you. Next, I'll move on to CoColaxx.
Yes, thank you very much. I think on the subject of economy, with only the interior market of Montroig being quite small and not as diverse as I would like it to be, we can't survive on ourselves. We have to trade with the outside world, and I think it's going to be an affair of supply and demand. We are going in a process, if I am elected, we need in a process of discussion. I will send emissaries to all the neighboring nations, Mainzville, Azura, maybe the Ularash cities that are on the other side of the bay. I will send emissaries to them, and then maybe set up embassies and trade deals. Trade deals will be very useful if for example, we have a lot of resources here that might be useful for some people. We have a great mining industry. We have a lot of resources in Baldia, especially military ones, and we could trade that for things we really need. So, for example, knowledge on agriculture or herding. I think we have everything to benefit from intercontinental and intercity trade, but still I don't want to expand very much, so we're going to have to trade with our neighbors for the time being. I'm also for building the Grand Bazaar and having everything on Citadel where it's easier of access, and boosting also the trade between the citizens of our nation.
Very much. And lastly, we'll throw the question on to lythd.
Alright, so basically in Baldia, which is the town I'm currently mayor of, we have our own market that was in place before the current one. And just as I'm developing that market there, I want to make sure that our market is being able to be developed, and to make sure that there's an incentive to setting up a stall. And I don't just mean we'll pay you to set up a stall. What I mean that it's going to be worth it in order to grind for resources. Like if you set up a sand shop, it's going to be worth it to get the money back, meaning that there'll be enough purchasing power by resources being available to you. And I will be able to ensure that this happens. And also some other jobs. For example, a lot of the construction is done, especially in my town, is done by the people in charge. So I'm thinking of making more of a builder type job, so that I know you might build your own house, but that's really it. Whereas here you would be paid to build other buildings and the Nether Highway and other infrastructure projects like the underground tunnel. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would anyone like to throw out a question amongst yourselves quickly, or any disagreements?
I have one. So, lythd, you said you would like to properly incentivize our current shops here, which, as we are a relatively small nation, I'd just like to hear the incentives that you do plan on having in place to attract more buyers here and to really provide incentive for people to settle down here and have a shop.
All right. So basically, because the market is so small, there's not many things to buy. So what I'm planning to do is basically, I would make a bunch of shops for like myself, and then basically I would be able to like one by one, and say somebody's like, oh, I think I could do this myself, and so basically I would slowly start transferring the shops to other people, so that the resources would start off being able to be bought, but then later it would go to other people, or if they don't want to like take over the shop themselves, they could make up their own shop in order to compete and earn money for themselves. And obviously I'm open to other suggestions, but that's what I'm currently going with at the moment.
Thank you very much. So we'll now move on to the next question, which is, what reforms would you plan to make, or would you like to make? We'll open with CoColaxx.
Yes, thank you very much. Obviously, a law reform, well, there's not a real reform because there's no law, but that's a big thing. The army also is quite disorganized or inexistent. We only have militias and voluntaries, and I don't doubt that if we get attacked, our proud countrymen will defend our city. But it would be better to have an army, especially for political gain and to play in the record, to show that we're a real country and not just an encampment of people. Also, the city planning is also a big factor. We have started already making a few plots and everything, but we really need to assign someone, a minister, to that. So justice, city planning, and the army. That would be the three big things I want to change.
Thank you. Next, we'll throw it to lythd.
All right, so I've done a lot of work on the discussion in terms of the army bill. That would definitely be one of the things I would be working towards. I've made my own army bill in the past, and then I've given some suggestions to Coco's one. So I believe an army bill is definitely one of the most important things that we have to do right now. And then besides the army bill, one of the main things that I believe we need is I'd probably go with some form of more ministers. So because I feel like at this moment, like a lot of the jobs are like collectivized, so it's like really just up to a few people at this moment. So like I said, Minister of Zoning, but even other ministers as well, like maybe Minister of the Economy. I just feel like we really need to spread it out more so that it's not just a few people at the top controlling everything. Thanks.
Thank you. And lastly, we'll throw it to SpotlightThief.
As lythd said, the establishment of more ministers is something that I'd like to employ. Like, for example, how we collectively, or, we established the Ministry of Infrastructure recently to help manage construction and zoning within our town. I have other ideas for ministries, such as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, because at the moment, Foreign Affairs is really managed by whoever feels like it. And, we do have a diplomat, though at the moment he isn't really online. So it's usually either left up to the ministers or the guardian. And at the moment, I feel like it would work better if we had a designated person for that so that they didn't, get too swamped with other projects or that they had too much responsibility with all of that. And on top of that, I would probably also add reforms in terms of military, as lythd said, because at the moment we do have the Minister of Defense, which is good, though I do feel like there are proper ranks that we should instill to have proper commanding over the army instead of the Minister of Defense, who also covers upkeep of the walls or guard towers or distribution of weapons and armor and things like that, which are all left up to one person when it should be spread out more, as lythd said.
Thank you. Would any of you like to discuss internally on the points you've made?
Yes, I would like to address a point that lythd made. lythd, you said that there is not enough ministers to occupy the affairs of the people, to solve the problems that they are. Can you give some examples? And do you really think? I think that being a quite small nation, I think we can say that shameless, I think without shame we can say that we're quite not a lot of people are here. So I don't think having each citizen occupy special posts will be very useful. So for example, we already have the Ministry of Resources that can take care of the economy. That's an efficient way to chop up work, and then after that the minister can still hire people to help him. Can you answer that, Liv?
Yeah. So, well, I already said the resource of economy, but as you're saying about like, since we're a small nation, however, I do feel that the amount we have is not enough. So, although I agree we don't want to just have like 20 ministers or 10 ministers, but I still feel like it should still be increased by a bit. And if you want another idea, then we could have like was sort of similar to Minister of Economy. It could be Minister of Jobs or
Yeah, but
just something along those lines. Minister of like diplomatic affairs rather than just like a single diplomat. It could be like managing and then
Lee.
maybe give off jobs to other people and stuff.
Lee, you gotta move again.
Oh yeah.
No.
I want to say that while it might be important to add more ministers, I think we shouldn't add another minister that detracts from the job of one other. Our ministers are already not that busy at the moment, so I think we can just merge and have less ministers that do more job instead of having a lot of ministers that do each a specific job. That's only my opinion, but I think we should do that. I also want to ask the other candidates here, what do they think about the ministry vote? Should the ministers be voted or elected or appointed by the president, the god? Spotlight?
So I'm going to answer this question and your previous question, as I also kind of touched upon it in my own answer to the to Quasar's question. But personally, for me, adding more ministries, I feel like at the moment there's only one thing that is missing necessarily, which would be the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which I mentioned. And I also had I originally had the Ministry of Infrastructure in mind, but we already established that. And I feel like if we were to get, more specific things in mind, we could probably take it how we currently have in the Ministry of Resources, with Ultimate Games running the Agriculture Department, and I forget who runs it at the moment, but the Demography Department, where you have department heads which are, employed to manage that one specific task, so that, there aren't elected officials with admin power necessarily running around that much, but there are still people to manage those things. And then for me, I personally believe that for ministries, they should be minister heads should be voted in, since there are only like 5 ministers or whatever. But I do believe that department heads, for example, should be employed either through an application system or appointed by the minister that runs that department, or not department, but ministry.
All right, Liv.
All right. Yeah.
1 second. Can someone invite Pigmel into the Discord, please?
I need his Discord tag.
Oh wait, give me a sec. He asked for the link, right?
Yes.
He asked for the link, but we don't know his Discord tag yet.
Yeah, no, I'm not seeing it because I feel like the UI deactivated.
So please continue again.
All right. Yeah. So I just want to say what Spot was saying about the ministers is we basically kind of agree on that point. And then in terms of sorry, could you repeat the question again?
I said that I was asking you about both the number of ministers, and do you think ministers should be appointed by the Guardian or voted for by the people?
Oh yeah, sorry. I was just thinking about what Spot was saying. Okay, yeah. I feel like they should be appointed by the Guardian, and I'm not too strong on this decision. Like I'm not too firm on it. However, I feel like it'd be like a lot of people running if we were to have like 5 ministers and like 2 or 3 candidates each. That's like 15 people running, and then people are voting between them. I feel like it's a bit much. So I feel I'd rather have them appointed by the Guardian, and the Guardian could take time to know all the different candidates and make a decision. Whereas each people, it's like a lot to keep in mind and a lot of people running. So yeah.
So we're all
Thank you very much.
we all agree on that issue. However, the votes are not on our sides. The votes say that 11 people think that the Guardian should appoint the ministers, and 15 people think that the people of Montroig should vote for the ministers. Do you have anything to say to people? And what would you do if the vote goes another way that you expected it to?
All right, yeah. As I said, I'm not too strict on that one. So if people don't agree with what I have to say, then that's fine. Obviously, we are a democracy. I'm not going to obviously do anything without anybody's permission. We're not too strict on it, so I understand the other side to that. Obviously, because we are a democracy, we should be able to vote them in. So if people don't want that, if people on the other side, then I'm totally fine with that.
Okay. Spot? Nothing to add?
Apologies, I was muted. I've already answered the question, and
Yeah.
no, I do not have anything to add.
All right.
Good stuff, everybody. Unless you have something else to add, Coco?
No, nothing else.
Very good. Pigmon, please take your seat again. So this is the last question before we move on to opening the floor up to audience Q&A. This is, should the safety of the nation come into question, what steps would you be willing to take to secure it? And we will open with Spotlight.
So, if the nation were in danger, I believe that we do have some good measures currently in place, but I do believe that there are many things that we could improve upon, such as the fact that many of our allies, for example, the OPTC and Floramia, are at such a large distance away from us that it would really be difficult for them to arrive in time if we were ever attacked. So I believe my first thing to fix that would be a nether highway between us and all of our allies that we expand as time goes on and we add more people. Or if they're close by, then, expanding that underground railroad that we are currently working on to them, in order to allow us to have people to arrive in place as well, in time, and just to have more people there at the scene. And as well, I would also expand upon our current policy in place, where every citizen is eligible for a free set of diamond armor in order to help better equip our citizens in case something like that happens, so that they can more easily defend themselves.
Thank you. We'll move on to lythd.
All right, yeah. So, making sure that everyone has the right armor is obviously the priority, because if you're in chainmail armor and there's a bandit coming, you're just gonna die. There's no doubt about that. So we need to make sure that everyone's be able to have the enough armor to at least stand a chance. And then, because there's a difference between a bandit and a war, because a bandit's just fast paced and they'll probably leave. So we need to make sure that there's information about that, about how you would deal with a bandit attack. For example, if you see a bandit coming, it should be common knowledge that you might as well leave, because they can't open chests here. So if you're not online and you're not combat tagged, then just leaving is just the best option. And then also in terms of fighting, don't obviously fight uphill and stuff like that. I just feel people should be more aware, just so that we're not as susceptible, the common people are not as susceptible to a bandit attack. And then in terms of wars are obviously more long paced in order to be prior knowledge when it's going to happen. So that's where the army bill and all that stuff comes in. Me and Coco have done a lot of stuff with the army, so obviously those stuff I would like to be put forth. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I would just like to ask Pigmalon to please return to their seat. Thank you very much. And lastly, we will go to CoColaxx.
Yes. So before any emergency, I propose to claim the chunks which are constituting our walls so that we eliminate any risk of towering or breaking of the walls. After that, if there is an attack that's declared, we are going to ask everyone to enter. Normally, for a war to be declared, we have 24-hour notice, so we can just say everyone in 24 hours we are going to lower the gate. Please enter the citadel. We will have housing ready for everyone to set their home point. After that, as per the constitution, every citizen is required to defend its home city. So everyone will go take the diamond armor, take their shield, and then take the weapons they have. We could unlock funds from the treasurer, because I also propose a transparency bill which includes a treasurer, but the money of the state could be used to buy arrows, for example, for the archers. Then after that, we can call in our allies. The close allies are Alarash. We can ask them to come, and we could, in case of emergency, hire mercenaries. That would be the expensive and the emergency option. So that's what I'm going to do if there is an emergency. Bring everyone to the capital, lower the portcullis, and wait it out, basically.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions they would like to ask each other on this last question before we open the floor for public questions? Very well. We will now open the floor to public questions. If anyone has a question they would like to ask, could you please type 1 in chat? And I will pick someone to ask. Okay, so we will first go to Pigmalon. So Pig, please ask your question. Will I still be the judge of court because I built it? I believe you're not currently the judge of the court, but everyone else can answer the question.
That's an interesting question. The process of recruiting the judge, as per proposed in my political program, would be under a committee which Gordon would be the president of, and then we could then take admissions and propose people to be judges. Like Minister, there is no current rule legislation or votes about how should pick judges, and I believe that the persons with the most experience should be allowed. So we'll set up a system of admissions, take suggestions from the community and appliances, and then make up the best national judges. So yes, you could be a judge in your court if you applied for that, and I deemed you good enough for the position.
Anyone else have an answer?
Yeah, I agree.
Yes, I do. You go first.
Spotlight and List.
So for me personally, how I would do it is, since at the moment, you aren't the judge of the court, and yeah, I agree with CoColaxx, though. I do believe that we should have some sort of jury system in place, as this is a direct democracy, and just the jury system seems like a natural extension of that, as well as just a better way to do court in a way that reflects the opinions of the people.
List.
All right. So the way the court in Baldia is set up is basically we have people from the audience that will basically decide to vote, so like a jury, and then the judge. Whilst the judge is important, it's basically just to supervise and make sure everything's going good. And the way the judge would be picked would basically be one of the how I have it in Baldia is one of the city council. Here it could be any like minister or guardian that is free, or it could just be someone else that everybody agrees that would be a qualified judge. So like in the Badu case, how there's this really bad judge. We wouldn't want that to happen again.
Yes, I'm going to have.
Choose to believe you're talking about yourself rather than me, CoColaxx.
I'm going to have to disagree with both other candidates. I think we can't have a jury system because simply saying we have a population problem, we are not enough to have a jury. If we have a jury now, the people would be locked down would be like probably 3 or 4 people. As you can see here in debates, we have three people, three candidates. We should have four, but one is not here. There's one person to host, and there's one person who's the cameraman. And then the public is like three people. We don't have enough people to do that. So as in trial, we wouldn't have a jury of more than 2 or 3 people, and that's really, really small. We could have a portion of the population that is biased. If you remove testimony, the witnesses and the people that are biased, you're going to find out like 1 or 2 people, and that's not enough to make a good jury. So I think that we should have the judge decide on whether or not the accused is guilty, and then maybe either the jury or the judge decide on the sentence. Because otherwise it's simply not practical and it wouldn't work in my humble opinion. If we have more people connect at the same time, I will consider changing it.
Thank you very much. We will now move on to Furness's question.
Am I able to say something to Coco's last point
Very well.
before we move on? Okay, yeah, just 2 things. One, they don't like have to be able to log on, so it could be anyone that's currently online at the Discord could join the VC. So that would be a lot more people. And then also, I believe that we should always have the jury system in place. And then, let's say we don't have enough people, we can always give it to someone else. Like we could give it to the judge's vote or maybe the guardian's vote. But I do believe that one, it's possible, which it should be, considering how many people we have. But even if it doesn't, we can give it to someone else. But I believe that if possible, we should always have that option be the primary option.
That's a fair
Thank
point.
you.
That's a fair point.
So we will now move on to Furness's question. After that, we will go X, then Badu. Badu, please sit down. No weapons in the courthouse, Pygmalon. And that's fine, Furness. Please do not fishing hook the cameraman. Walking around town, I noticed the streets and other builds are, in my opinion, quite primitive. Are there any plans to improve them? We will first go to lythd.
All right. I believe that the Minister of Infrastructure and potentially the Minister of Zoning would be in charge of this because basically, like as of right now, we haven't really had any person in charge of that specifically. So it's basically just been the people. However, I believe that once we have more organization going forward, we'd be able to like upgrade this and like potentially provide like government like resources. Like okay, here's some courts you can make a nice fancy build here, or at least have them more available. Even if we got given out for free, maybe like a shop or something, and basically just more organization, so that we would not be able to look primitive, as you said.
Next, thank you. We will next go to CoColaxx.
Thank you very much. So yes, I plan on improving a lot of builds. First of all, I would like to have a big flag next to the parliament, not a banner, but like a big red and black flag. That would be, in my opinion, pretty nice. And obviously, the city planner is not only going to plan the city, but also build it. So he will be in charge of the, let's say, coherence of the buildings one to another, and he will try to remove things. In the law code also there will be a few laws related to that. So for example, build permits are going to be required to build something, and also we're not going to have any towering or griefing anymore. You can no more go on the wall by just jumping and towering blocks of dirt. That wouldn't be good. We're going to have a Landscape Protection Act. So that's it. City planner will will improve that, provide public lighting, better roads, and make sure we don't just build those houses next to a museum.
Thank you, and we will lastly throw it over to SpotlightThief.
Okay, so for me, I currently don't have much of an issue with our buildings, or at least within the Citadel. Though I do understand where you're coming from. At the moment, I believe that the Ministry of Infrastructure should take care of that, or at least I personally trust the current Minister of Infrastructure to, take care of that. I trust in his abilities and believe that, he is a very good fit for the job. Though I still do believe that a few things could be upgraded, such as in the Citadel. We are having certain requirements for building housing, as we are currently putting it in place that you have to submit a design if you wish to build your house up here, so that we can keep at least our Citadel looking nice, as well as just improving certain buildings, and yeah.
Thank you. So next, so Furnace has another related question, so I will just quickly throw this one in as well. And if so, how would they be distributed as jobs? The plans to improve them, how would they be distributed as jobs? Okay, if people can keep this answer quick, but we can go again. So CoColaxx.
So basically, I am more of a libertarian approach. Some people could hire other people to work, and some people could just decide to do everything themselves. They're building and cooking everything. So I will not put in place any law or rules or taxes about that. You can do whatever you want. If you want to open a shop to sell sand, you can. If you want to go and get your own sand yourself, you can. And if you want to import it from Azura, you can. I'm not going to put any hurdles in here, and I'm sure that by the law of supply and demand, there will be enough people selling, enough people gathering for this to work. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We will next go to Spotlight.
So, personally, I believe that it wouldn't really necessarily be distributed as jobs, though I do believe that certain things can be freelanced, such as CoColaxx said, they could have people selling materials, gathering materials for themselves, as well as freelance builders. And I guess if you mean it in the aspect of government jobs, it would be managed by the Minister of Infrastructure, and possibly, if they wished to institute that, a head of the Department of Construction, if that was something that was wished to be established.
Thank you. And lastly, we will go to lythd.
Okay, so I believe that, as I mentioned before, how about a possible builder's job would be good, and then obviously people could become a builder of their own accord. So they could say, does anyone want me to build a house for them? I'll charge this for this kind of house and stuff. And then I believe in terms of planning, there wouldn't really be any new jobs for that. It would just go up to the respective minister, so the Minister of Infrastructure most likely. And then I also just wanted to mention that in Baldia we kind of have a system like that, where we have pre-laid out stuff, and then if you want to buy your own piece of land, then we have laws, and then the design has to be approved by the city council, and then there's an appropriate fee, and yeah. So I just want to mention that there's kind of a system in place that I implemented.
Thank you very much. Next, we will go to X's question, which I don't know if it's... I believe it's too far back for me to scroll. X, could you ask it again?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so what will your policy be with other towns of Montroig other than the capital? How will the relation work with them? We will first throw it to lythd.
Okay, so the policy for other towns, in my opinion, it should basically be that it should basically be like a two-way system. So there'd be like the representative from the town. So let's say Baldia, for instance, because that's what I'm most familiar with. There'd be like some form of representative that would report to the capital town. That way, the capital town would be able to meet the considerations of all the other towns. And then I believe the reverse should also happen. Assuming the towns obviously get big enough. If it's a small town, it might not be needed. But basically, like some form of governor, just representative from the capital to ensure the town is doing as the capital would wish. And then in terms of just how, like, sovereignty in general and stuff, I believe the town should be able to follow most of its decisions on its own. However, it still has to abide by the Constitution, and any decision the federal government wishes to implement on them, they should be able to have to act on it. And in terms of Baldia as well, I somewhat have the system already implemented. The only thing is I just don't have representatives necessarily, but I still have the mayor is basically a representative, and then obviously once it gets bigger, then I can do like dedicated people for that. So thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will throw it to CoColaxx.
Yes, I agree with a lot of points Lythd has made. So I think we should have two chambers, as Badu once said famously. One would be the city council, so everyone could come in like in the parliament and then vote for whatever laws they want to implement, which would be city laws. As long as they respect the constitution, the federal government can impose also federal laws, but each city is free out of that. And then there's going to be the parliament where everyone can currently siege, but now if there are more cities and if people are coming from more cities, we're going to have a system of representatives. People are going to elect 34 people to come to the parliament and be able to vote, or vote for what their city's vote is going to be. They could still enter to the parliament and ask questions and speak and assist. Just not everyone has a vote. Otherwise, the big cities would have a bigger impact, and that would be very, very fair, I think. Otherwise, as I said, the public, I don't think I'm going to expand very much if I am elected. I think we're just going to stick to the three cities and the system, which is now with that the Baldians can come to the parliament, and everyone can vote, and everything is perfectly good.
Thank you very much. Last spotlight.
So for towns, it would most likely work similar to the city on a smaller level. Obviously, larger construction projects such as roads to other towns, any major changes to government buildings, or any major land expansions would have to go through the federal government, as that all is major enough to warrant it. Though things like zoning, housing, any walls, diplomatic relationships between other towns, if the other towns were within, one of our allies, would most likely, be left up to the mayor and any other representatives that were appointed or elected, depending on the system that the town uses. And they would get one representative in government, most likely, though at the moment, due to us being a direct democracy, there wouldn't be much need for it, aside from, workings outside of Parliament.
Very good. Thank you.
Can I add something?
Yes, please go ahead, Lythd.
Okay, so I just want to say what Coco was saying about the city council. I just want to say that that's something I'm behind, because I have that in Baldia, and with new towns going forward, I want to introduce that. And what Spotlight was saying about like basic infrastructure between towns, so roads and stuff, would have to be approved by the federal government. I just want to say I also agree with that. So yeah.
Thank you. So next up, I believe Pigmalon wanted to ask another. Badu. Sorry, Badu. Please ask your question. And then we will go to Pigmalon, who has another question.
Ask your question, Badu.
Yeah, Badu, it's your turn. So Badu asks if any of you would consider raising the power of the Guardian of the Republic. We will open with Spotlight.
At the moment, I actually believe that the Guardian has too much power. That's why I pushed for things like the establishment of the Ministry of Infrastructure, for example, to take away some of the responsibilities of the Guardian, to not only make it easier for them, but to also make them less powerful within government. So no, I would not raise the powers at all if, if I was able to. If something did come up that required me to, can't name what specifically, but if there was an urgent situation and the minister that was supposed to do that thing wasn't able to, I would most likely temporarily or do something for an emergency. But other than that, no, I would not raise the Guardian's power.
Thank you. Next, we will go to CoColaxx.
Yes, so I have published a bill in a political program, which was called the Transparency Bill, which between other things, also defines the role of the Guardian, because I think the problem is not a problem of too much power, but it's a problem of power that is not defined. We don't know what the Guardian can and cannot do. There's no things written in the Constitution, so basically he can do pretty much what he wants. Given a set of powers, such as presiding in the parliament, deciding when the votes are 50-50, presenting as judge when there's no other judge available, etc., etc. You can find the full list of the powers I give him in the PDF. And then I also created a lot of roles to detract some of the power from the Guardian. For example, the marshal and the treasurer, so we can have a nice little account on money, what we did with money, how many money we have, and what I'm going to do with it. So that's basically it. I will not neither remove or add power, because I think for me it's more with definition. I will give a definition to the power of the Guardian and use it as I write it. I'll be true to my word.
Thank you. And we will throw it to our last person to speak.
Alright, so everything I want to say is basically been said already, but I would want to diminish the power of the Guardian, as we're a direct democracy, so the power shouldn't be in their hands, because that's more of a representative democracy, so I feel we need to diminish it more. As Coco was saying, they would still be important, obviously. Like if they needed to act as a judge, or as Spotlight said, if they need to take over temporarily for an emergency the duties of a ministry, that would be okay, because obviously they're a responsible person to be elected into that position. However, for the most part, their powers should be reduced. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So next we will throw it back around to Pigmelon. I believe you said you had another question. What are your thoughts on exile? That's an interesting question. We will open with lythd this time.
Okay, so in Baldia, there's actually a few laws that would call for exile. Basically, I believe that exile it should be important for people that, especially like acts of treason, where they basically demonstrated that they don't care about our nation. So why should they be a part of it? Why should they be drawing resources from us? Like, let's say we're providing them armor. Why should we be giving them armor when they don't really care about us? So I believe that sometimes an act of exile should be called for. However, I don't think it should be given away too willingly. Like, if people get in a fight or whatever, it wouldn't call for exile. So I believe it shouldn't be given away just carelessly, just like as a general punishment of sorts, but only for extreme circumstances like treason. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we will go to Spotlight.
So at the moment, I believe that we have only exiled 2 people, those being Fancart and Zacrex, if I'm correct. I have no issues with exile as a concept, though I do believe that it only should be used in extreme cases such as, betrayal, them working with one of our enemies or a nation we're in war with at the moment, or, mass amounts of theft and them just dashing. So I have no issues with exile as a concept, though I do believe that it should be used sparingly.
Thank you very much. And lastly, we will go to CoColaxx.
Thank you very much. I think the Constitution outlaws us to put people to death for their crimes, and I think that's a good thing. But I think exile should just replace the death penalty as the ultimate punishment possible. Exiling someone would be like, you are basically dead to us. You are no longer a part of this country republic. You have betrayed it, either for acts of betraying or treason or repeated murder. I think it should be the sentence above prison. That's the maximum sentence you can give someone exiling. I would be against temporary exile because the only thing it does is build up resentment. So I think that should be avoided. Exile also should be avoided because if someone doesn't already resent the state, we shouldn't make him resent the state by exiling him. So I think we all agree on that point.
Thank you. So Zed had a question, or ZH_Ed, please let me know how you'd like that to be pronounced. They have a question: what would you do if a succession movement happened? And we'll open with CoColaxx this time.
What do you mean by succession movement?
So, for instance, say a large amount of Baldian citizens
Okay,
decided
I had a succession.
Pardon?
I heard a succession instead of a secession.
Yes.
No, I know what that is. You can carry on.
That was the question.
Oh, I begin?
What would you do if a succession movement started in a town?
First thing would be to establish direct communication. Send necessary. Understand what's the problem. You don't CC just because you want to. There's going to be important problems, and we have to think about a way to fix it. After that, I would listen to their conditions. If they won't surrender under any circumstances, I believe the Constitution demands us to defend our country, and that's our country being taken by an outside force. Well, inside force, should I say, but a force outside of Montroig. So I think we would be justified to launch military action, but only after negotiating, and only if they don't want to give it back under any circumstances. If they want to give it back under a ransom, I think that we should just make them understand that we won't hesitate to attack if they don't. I think if there's a problem, we have to be able to fix that problem. So, for example, there's not enough supplies, not enough food there, there's famine, their rights are being not being respected. We should act on that. Restore tell them to stop, give us back the land, and then we restore the problems that they are facing.
Thank you. We will next throw it to Spotlight.
If a secession movement were to pop up, there would most likely be a major issue with Montroig that needed to be addressed. So if possible, we would address the issue that caused it in an attempt to keep them to stay. Though if there was no convincing them, there would be no need to attempt to suppress it or jump to military action. We would most likely allow them to, have self-autonomy and just, be close allies with them or allow them to be a self-autonomous state of us.
Thank you, and lythd.
Alright, so as Spotlight said, in order for a secessionist movement to happen, something must have been seriously wrong. So the first thing would obviously I would look at like what's been happening, like have they been voting for an act that hasn't been passed or against an act that has been passed, see what the issue is, and obviously try and communicate them and see if they're going to tell us what the issue is. Because obviously we would like the issue to just be solved. So if it's like a previously brought up issue, we'd bring it back up. And also, I believe that there's basically like two actions. Like we could either like allow it to happen, or we could try and pressure them into happening it. Basically, it would depend on like how severe it is. Like if they just hate us for this action, then they might actually like come back at us and stuff. So I feel like, for example, we could try cutting off trade. Like I know Baldia like basically relies on the capital for food, so like we could cut off food from them, and then maybe military action later if that's not working. However, I believe that's only really for emergencies, because I basically agree with Spotlight. Like we don't want to be forcing people to be a part of us. If you don't want to be a part of us, anymore, then we would be able to let you if we can't come up to a conclusion. And if we're able to become good allies, then we might as well, because we'd still have your back and you'd still have our back. So, yeah, thank you.
I'm gonna have to disagree here. If you want to secede from Montroig, you should do so by voting, I think. Because if you do so by the force, we're going to have to apply the Constitution. I read the 6th article of our Constitution. When being attacked, all Montroig citizens must defend the nation, and the nation will establish a war economy. That's abridged. So we have to defend our nation. If a secession happens by violence without a democratic vote, we must defend our nation, and that city is part of the nation. So we must send negotiating team, and if it doesn't work, send the army. If this is by a vote, that's no problem.
If I may add something, I believe that me and lythd were talking about not a forceful secession, but a peaceful one. Obviously, if it were to come to the point to where they attacked us and provoked, obviously we would have to respond forcefully as well, but in self-defense. But, I don't believe that there's any reason to use military force in, the case that they aren't attempting to harm us or, attack us in any way.
Yes, Spot said what I was going to say. I wasn't thinking of like a military act. Yeah.
Thank you. So I will put out the call again. Does anyone else have any questions they would like to ask? No?
It seems not.
Very well, then we will move on to the last short section where I will open the floor to the candidates completely to ask each other any questions they would like. Is there no points any of you would like to ask each other?
I don't have any other questions.
Then I believe that is the end of the debate. Thank you everyone for coming. I think this went very well. We just need to wait for Ix to get back from doing a big pee, and then it will be done.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, he's waiting for us to finish so he can go.
So I will just come up. Thank you everyone for watching what was been the first debate of the Guardian of the Republic.
You're welcome. When is going to be the election?
It should start tomorrow, I guess. We've got a week to vote.
All right. And I have a question. First of all, is the vote going to be ranked system, right? And then is the vote going to be public or private? Will we see the results in live, or will they stay hidden until the day of?
The safest way is to make it public, so everyone knows what you voted. But yeah, and also I think ranked vote for 3 candidates. I don't know if that works.
I think it works.
We could do one transferable for 3 candidates.
I would say transferable.
Which one is that one?
That's the French one.
No. We don't have that. We have 2 turns.
Oh, sorry. So the one transferable is basically ranked, but you only get to rank 2 people.
Yep, that's in Australia.
Which seems to would work better if we only have 3, and we could move to full ranked if we had more people running next time.
SCV would work. But basically, SCV is like tiered, but like with 2 people actually, because there's the one you vote first, the one you vote second, the one you don't vote for. So like 1, 2, 3.
So basically, everyone, the way it works is you just vote for your number 1 candidate, then your number 2 candidate.
That's it.
If your number 2 candidate does not secure, if they don't secure enough votes, then your vote goes to your number 1 candidate.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll count up all the votes in like a first round, and then add them all up.
Yeah, I would be for having everything to be private, because I don't want the results to be spoiled or influenced by the number of people that votes one-on-one. I think we can trust like a perfectly neutral person, either Quasar or ICS, to take care of the election for us.
I wouldn't trust myself. As in, so it's like if you, when you're voting, you told the person into their ear what you wanted to vote, and they'll be like, yeah, I'll remember you. Don't worry. And you can just mess votes up.
Look at what carpet looks like when you wear it as a hat. It's like a little thing around my neck.
Where is it?
Alright, yeah. I say we could just do like some online form and then just have them show the result. And then
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we could
An online form would be good.
Oh yeah, Google form. We could do a Google form.
and then make
Yeah,
it
but
say
just
your name
don't
so
don't
that
show
we can
don't
confirm
show.
that it's not just
Yeah, but
random
like don't show the results. Don't show the results between, because I'm afraid the results could the results could influence the way people vote. Basically, that's
How
Yeah,
about
so if we do a
maybe the
Google
way we
form,
can do it
everybody.
is to get a representative from both the GWP and the SMP to be in charge of the election?
I mean, I think they're
Well,
going to just
I
take
have
off the
an
knives. Yeah.
So if you do it with a Google form, and for example, having Ix, who is the current guardian and isn't running or part of any political party, we could have him make a Google form for everyone to fill out. Then everybody's results would be secret, and you'd be able to do ranked or whatever, pretty
Yeah,
easily.
STV would work. Other question. Until when do we have to vote? When does the vote end?
It's just said next Wednesday.
I think it should be a tad long.
It's a week.
Yeah, that might be it.
How
I
about
think-
I
Sunday?
feel like the election
Yeah, I
has
think
already been
Sunday
going on for
would be
2
great. Sunday would be
weeks.
great.
And, with how we're doing it, if we're having an election every month, I feel like half of the term shouldn't be filled up with
Yeah.
election. I don't know.
So
Right,
I
right,
would say
then,
until Saturday or Sunday.
3 days.
from Wednesday to Sunday. Or maybe we can do it from Wednesday to Saturday.
Wednesday to Saturday and then announce the results on Sunday?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Works. That would work for me.
Wait, what if?
We can
What if?
codify
And
it
then,
for...
are we going to send the video to Nuke Radio so that he can post it on his YouTube channel for anybody?
I think I'm just gonna. I'll see what I can do with that. I think I'm just gonna I have my own video. If you could send me yours, we'll see what happens, and then either we create a channel which is given to the Guardian of the Republic. Either we just use news.
I feel.
We just use Nuke Radio.
Well, I feel like I don't know. I feel as if since Nuke Radio has already posted a lot of news over us, I feel like he maybe should become the minister, the official newscaster.
why not? But like we'd like to have like a channel that is official. You need official and private channels.
Yeah.
I don't mind either way. I'm probably leaning slightly more towards letting Nuke do it, since Nuke Radio is already covered us before.
Yeah,
and they,
it's already
We can
he's
do
already
both.
a bit more established, so we'd be
I
able to
mean,
reach a crowd
I say we do both.
Montroig audience.
I say we do both.
Yeah, I mean either.
I feel
works.
like both would be splitting it. I don't know. I just feel like it would work well if we had Nuke Radio like our own personal Herb Dashwell.
Yeah, it works well enough. We can just get more people to work on it or whatever, but yeah, it works well as of now. So.
And then also, since I'm a reporter for Herb Dashwell, should I write like a little paragraph or whatever, just saying that the election is going on or whatever, or should I wait until we get?
And we also need someone. We'll need someone to get to do the wiki.
Yes.
Yeah, the
So
wiki.
upgrade that for the wiki. We could put a video on the wiki.
Yeah,
or at least a link to a YouTube video.
Oh, also, did you guys hear they're upping the render distance to 10 chunks?
Yep.
Is it not already on 10?
I think it's like on 6 or 8 or something. I don't know.
I thought they had upped it to 6, and then this was it on 10.
Oh wait, I don't know, because I don't know. He said that he was upping it to 10
Have
or
you been on
experimenting with up. What?
Yeah.
Anyway, Hellro.